May 9th, 2022. The crypto market is crashing. People are panicking. Bitcoin drops below $30,000 for the first time in almost a year. But another potentially catastrophic event is beginning to take place. Terra USD, also known as UST, one of the largest stablecoins, has just lost its peg to the dollar for the second time in 48 hours, and this time it's affecting the entire crypto market. The thing with stablecoins is that they are supposed to be stable. They are typically pegged to an asset like the US dollar or gold, so if you buy 100 of a stablecoin that is pegged to the dollar, then it should cost you $100, and it should stay that price no matter what. Stablecoins are supposed to be a safe place to keep your money while still allowing you the benefits of using blockchain technology. Many people often use them as a place to store wealth while the market is volatile. So maybe you can see why it's a major issue that UST dropped as low as 30 cents. People who had trusted UST and the Terra ecosystem to keep their money safe were now scared that they could lose everything they have invested into it. For a while now, there's been a worry that a stablecoin could crash or at least completely shake up the entire crypto market. Tether, which is currently the third largest crypto by market cap, was usually the stablecoin that most suspected would fail. The fear is that Tether isn't properly backed by US dollars. Tether is a type of US dollar pegged stablecoin that is supposed to be backed 1-to-1 by US dollars. That means for every one Tether that is in circulation, they should be holding $1. The problem is that it isn't clear that they are properly backing their stablecoin, meaning that there may not be enough money for everyone to trade their Tether back to dollars at the same time. The way Tether operates its stablecoin is the more traditional way of doing it. Terra, on the other hand, uses an algorithm to attempt to keep the price of their stablecoin at $1. To maintain the stability of UST, Terra uses two coins, Terra USD, which is UST, and Terra, which is also known as Luna. UST acts as the stablecoin, while Luna is a volatile asset meant to be an investment. Terra operates in a way so that you can always exchange between these two coins for $1. This means you can always trade one UST for $1 worth of Luna, and $1 worth of Luna for one UST. When you make one of these trades, the coin you trade in is burned. This system works because it incentivizes users to trade their coins for each other in order to make a very small profit. For example, if the price of UST has fallen to 0.998 cents, you could buy UST and then trade it for $1 worth of Luna, netting you the difference in price. Then the UST that you traded is burned, shrinking the total supply and raising the value back to $1. The exact opposite is also true. If UST is now worth $1.01 and you own Luna, you can now trade $1 worth of Luna for the slightly more expensive UST. You could then sell that UST for a small profit. As you do this, you burn some Luna, but you also create new UST, which makes the supply larger, decreasing the price of each UST. It makes sense as to why you'd want to hold UST, since it's a stablecoin. But what is the incentive to buy and hold Luna? Luna acts as an investment for the Terra ecosystem. If you believe that more people will continue to use UST, then Luna could become more valuable as the supply of UST grows. So why did UST become depegged from the dollar? It all started when some very large UST transactions were made on May 7th. Terraform Labs, the company over the Terra ecosystem, removed $150 million of UST from the stablecoin trading platform Curve. Terraform Labs likes to have large amounts of UST on platforms like Curve and Anchor in order to make sure that the large transactions of UST fluctuate the price as little as possible. The reason they removed this $150 million in liquidity was to prepare for a new pool that would be offered on Curve. They were going to deploy those funds into the new pool at some point in the near future. Around the same time, another large transaction was made converting $84 million in UST to Ethereum. This large sell, on top of the removal of liquidity by Terraform Labs, had the effect of depegging UST from the dollar. This was the first time it depegged, and it only went as low as lower 99 cents to high 98 cents, which is bad for a stablecoin, but not nearly as catastrophic as what was to come. This depegging of UST on top of the overall crypto market sell-off began to put a lot of fear in many people. The price of Luna was quickly decreasing and many investors were losing confidence in its ability to back UST. There's also just a general uneasiness in the crypto space regarding stablecoins, due to previous failures. So this event caused tons of fear, uncertainty, and doubt to spread, which led to an overall sell-off of UST. We can take a look at Anchor Protocol, which is a saving, lending, and borrowing platform built on the Terra blockchain, to see just how bad things are for Terra. People use Anchor Protocol to stake their UST there because they can make over 18% in interest on it. But 18% is worthless when there's a possibility that the asset you're holding is worth next to nothing. On May 6th, over $14 billion worth of UST were staked on Anchor Protocol. That number has drastically declined in the last few days, getting all the way down to around $4 billion. This is what many would call a bank run. Think back to the 1920s where many people were scared a bank would fail, so they began to withdraw all their funds. This in turn causes the bank to fail because they do not have enough money to give back what everyone has deposited. It's the exact same scenario here. Many people are worried that UST is going to crash, so everyone sells their UST in Luna, causing it to crash. The Luna Foundation Guard, also known as LFG, is another piece of the puzzle that we need to talk about. This foundation was founded in part by Do Kwon, who is also the founder of Terra Labs, who created the Terra blockchain. In other words, the Luna Foundation Guard and Terra are incredibly intertwined. The whole goal of the LFG is to support the Terra blockchain and make sure that UST is able to stay pegged to the dollar. They are essentially a last line of defense if something goes wrong and UST becomes depegged. The LFG backs the Terra blockchain by creating a reserve of cryptocurrencies, currently only holding Bitcoin. The foundation's holdings are massive, starting recently with a buying spree of over $1 billion in Bitcoin. And they are looking to buy as much as $10 billion worth in the long term. This reserve is automatically deployed on the blockchain when USD decouples from the dollar by a certain amount. With this reserve, you are able to use 1 UST to buy 0.98 cents worth of Bitcoin. This means if UST is worth less than 0.98 cents, then you can trade it for Bitcoin and profit off the difference. Doing this takes UST off the market and increases the price back to $1. So okay, they knew this kind of thing was possible, and they had a plan for it in place if it did happen. So why didn't having the Bitcoin reserves work? The problem was that they hadn't officially launched it yet. While they had a plan in place, it was still weeks away from being connected to the Terra blockchain, meaning there was no backup plan actually in place. This meant they would need to come up with a plan on the fly to prop up the price of UST. The plan the LFG came up with was to loan out a massive amount of money in order to try to stabilize the price of UST. The total they would loan out is $1.5 billion. Half of this is to be loaned out in Bitcoin to stabilize the price of UST. Then the other half is to be deployed in UST in order to most likely rebalance their reserves. The goal with this loan was to essentially buy enough UST to get the price back to $1. Do Kwon, the head of Terra Labs and LFG, explained that LFG was not trying to exit its Bitcoin position. The goal is to significantly strengthen the liquidity of the UST peg. They were hoping they could quickly stabilize the market, but this really didn't seem to play out as planned. While they may have stabilized UST some, they certainly didn't get it pegged back to $1. Even after this loan, on May 9th, the price continued to plummet, going as low as almost 30 cents on Wednesday, May 11th, and struggling to get anywhere near the dollar market is supposed to be at. Do Kwon finally came out with a statement explaining what exactly their plan is. The plan is essentially to wait until everyone who now wants to sell UST gets done. This would allow the UST pool to shrink and eventually get back to a place where 1 USD can equal $1. The big downside is that this creates a ton of new Luna, decreasing its overall price. This hurts those who have invested in Luna, but the damage seems to already have been done. Another big issue faced during all of this is that the amount of UST that can be burned in a period of time is limited. Because of this, a proposal was passed to increase the rate that UST can be burned. This proposal even states that only $1 billion worth of UST were able to be burned at a time when $8 billion worth were withdrawn. A pretty ridiculous difference. At this point, only one aspect of Terra can be saved, either the UST peg or the price of Luna. It's clear that the peg needs to be restored before they can start rebuilding any trust in the overall Terra ecosystem. With all of this happening, tons of theories are floating around on who could have done this. Some of the earliest theories claim that Terra itself depegged UST in order to profit in some way, although Do Kwon has openly denied this, claiming they have little to gain from depegging their own stablecoin. Do Kwon is a controversial figure in the crypto space, with many people having strong opinions about him, so that probably plays a role in this theory gaining any amount of popularity. The other big theory is that some big players in the traditional finance space set this all up to make a quick buck. The rumor states that the crypto exchange Gemini made a 100,000 Bitcoin loan to large institutional investors like BlackRock and Citadel. The institutions then quietly swapped 25,000 Bitcoin for UST. Then these large institutions asked Do Kwon if he would like to buy a large chunk of Bitcoin at a discount using UST. It would be done directly and at a discount in order to not affect the price of UST drastically. He would have taken this offer, which would give BlackRock and Citadel a massive amount of UST and lower UST's overall liquidity by a lot. Then BlackRock and Citadel supposedly sold everything they had in both assets, causing a massive panic as we have seen with this entire event. They then would have bought back into Bitcoin at a lower price and paid off their loan with cheaper Bitcoin and pocketed the difference. Now, it is important to note that BlackRock, Citadel, and Gemini all deny any of this ever happening. Both of these theories are mostly just speculation. There is a good chance that the overall market conditions just ended up leading to the failure of UST and Terra. We might see more evidence that one of these theories is true, but for now they remain just that, theories. Overall, the fall of Terra and UST is one of the craziest events to happen in crypto lately, and that's saying a lot. Will UST ever be able to recover? Maybe. The real concern is, will people ever feel confident enough to trust Luna or UST to hold their funds ever again? Many people lost a large portion of their portfolio to this event and will never trust the Terra ecosystem. The damage done to the crypto space in general is massive and will be felt for years to come. Likely this will make people lose even more trust in stablecoins, and regulators may finally come into the crypto space and do what they do. regulate. Hopefully the crypto space will recover stronger than ever from this event, but only time will tell.